Hey BioLites, sorry I can't be with you today. We have a lot to get done, so follow along with the video. A couple things that I've already sent you. You should have the digital version of this PowerPoint so you can access the animations and videos that I've linked in the PowerPoint. When I get to them in this video, I'll show you where to click so you can take a look at those, review them. That's why I asked you to bring your headphones or earbuds to class with you today. There will be certain points at which you will be working with Clock Buddies, so please make sure you're following along with what Clock Buddies to work with and what activities to complete. Due to the snow day last Friday, you are already behind the other class, so we're going to go double speed today. Don't worry though, I will make sure we have a check for understanding on Thursday when I'm back with you and cover any questions that you might have. So let's get to the first part of this. Sheets that you need to pick up. Sheets that you need to pick up are going to be on the front Darwin table. That is to the right of the 3D DNA molecule up front. So please pause the video and go grab those at this time. Now that you have those worksheets, the sheets that you have should look like this. You should have one that is the structure and function of DNA notes. You should have one that is the genetic code CRS that looks like this. And you should have one that is the base pair CRS that looks like this. So hopefully you have all three of those documents. Now that you pick those up, first thing, quick introduction to how scientists learned about what is genetics and how we know about it. So we know that genetics is the study of traits and how they're passed from parents to offspring. And we're going to take a quick look at a video here. The link is right here, so you're going to need to open up the digital version of the PowerPoint that was sent to you and click on this and watch this. Now, I know that the information in the video is slightly confusing, but I want you to think about, okay, what did they learn from the information? How did they learn that from the example that they used? So pause this video, open up the digital version, and click on the Learn, and you should have a YouTube video that pops up. So watch that all the way through. All right, now that you watch that, I just want you to think about how they were actually able to study that. We know we had two forms of this virulent bacteria, and with that, we know that one was actually killed off, and one caused pneumonia and one didn't. And something had to happen where the traits were passed from the non-virulent, which was dangerous, to the non-virulent, which was still alive, and they knew that there had to be some sort of genetic cross or some genes that were passed on to that next generation from one to the other. This is just a quick review, so we know that on your note sheet there, we have question 2, so how are traits passed from parents to offspring? We know that we had this karyotype. Remember that this must be a female, human female, because it has 2 X chromosomes, and the rest of these are the autosomal chromosomes that give us the traits that make us who we are. So obviously genetic traits are carried by those chromosomes. Humans have 23 pairs, 46 total. That's all review. Obviously, anytime during this video, if you want to pause and you want to use, for filling your notes, you want to use the digital PowerPoint, you can do that, or you can use this video. So how are traits passed? We know that meiosis packages half those chromosomes, and half is passed from mom, half is passed from dad. We know that we start with diploid cells. We're going to go through meiosis, and once we go through meiosis, we know that we are going to have a sperm cell and an egg cell that is produced. At some point in time, we know that they're haploid. We know that they are going to come together during fertilization, and that is going to then create our zygote, yozo, go yozo. And from there on, it's going to take, mitosis is going to take over to produce our little offspring as it grows. So fertilization is a combination of the chromosomes from the 2 parents to form a diploid offspring, sperm and egg, going through. Whoop, I forgot about the noise, so I'm going to take that off. And then we have our little zygote, and that little zygote turns into all of you at some point in time. So we need to look at, what we're really looking at today is, our essential question is, what molecule carries genetic information? So now we're on to looking at our first pause in work time, you are going to find your, anybody? Oh, okay, I guess I'll make a choice. None of you spoke up, so I guess you are going to find your 7 o'clock partner. Nope, I take that back. Not your 7 o'clock partner. We've done that a ton of times. Not 7 o'clock partner. You are going to find your 11 o'clock partner. Find your 11 o'clock partner, and that is who you're going to work with to complete the bell work, which is the sheet that looks like this. So you are going to read the questions on the right-hand side of the front side, just this side over here. Okay, so you're going to read these questions. Then once you've read the question, so this is practice for our CRS. This is how we're going to break down passages. We have two scientists. They have different opinions. This is one of our conflicting viewpoints type of CRS. So read these questions on the right-hand side. Once you've read these questions, then you're going to read the information on the left, answer the questions on the right, and once you're done with the front side, then you are going to go over here and you are going to complete the multiple choice. You are doing this with your 11 o'clock partner. So pause the video and work with your 11 o'clock partner to complete this. Once you are done working with your 11 o'clock partner, please return to your assigned seats. So once again, hopefully you already did this. You've read these questions, you read the passages, you answered the multiple choice. Now, what you are going to do is once you are finished with the multiple choice, you are going to find your 3 o'clock partner and you're going to check your answers. Remember that if you do not have the same answers, come to a decision on what the right answer is. If we have questions, if you still have questions after that, then we can discuss that on Thursday. So this is a quick video. Go back to the digital version of the PowerPoint I sent you. Click on this link right here where it says Hershey and Chase's experiment. That should open up a video and give you a little background information on what happened and which scientist is correct. Hopefully it works. Why isn't it working? Oh, uh-oh. This video is no longer available because YouTube has videos. Yikes. Well, I guess we'll discuss on Thursday which scientist was right. Hopefully you already have a prediction about which scientist is right, and we can discuss that on Thursday. Yay! Okay, I guess we're back to our notes then. So, we've done this. Well, we didn't really do that. So, learning targets. You have at the top of your page, you need to fill this in. So, pause the video and fill this in. All right, question 3, how do chromosomes determine traits? So chromosomes are made of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. So that is simply taking a look at this. We know that we have a chromosome. This fuzzy looking thing in the picture here is a chromosome. Making up this chromosome is a large molecule of DNA. So chromosomes are made of DNA, and this molecule stores and sends genetic information. So this is what stores the blueprints and makes you who you are. Now, this is where it starts getting a little confusing because we have to, like, you know, those little Russian nesting dolls? Think of it like that. So we're going to go backwards. We started with the big thing. That would be the chromosome. So we went back a layer, and now we have DNA makes up chromosomes. Now we know that we've been talking about genes and different versions of those genes. That would be alleles. So genes is a segment of the DNA strand. So you can see here that this section might hold the trait for how much nose hair you have or how hairy your ears get. Who knows what it is, but those are all the traits that make up who you are, while we have sections of DNA called genes that are specific for those traits. Now, those genes are on that DNA molecule. We need to know a little bit more about the DNA molecule itself. So how does the structure of DNA allow it to store genetic information? Well, the DNA molecule is 2 strands of nucleotides. So we have 2 sides to it. We have a sugar group, which is deoxyribose. We have a phosphate group, and we have a nitrogen base. So you can see that this right here, up and down, is the phosphate group. Here is our sugar, the deoxyribose, and this is our nitrogen base. It is shaped like a double helix. Think of it like a spiral staircase. So those 2 strands are twisted together. They're held together in the middle by hydrogen bonds. So this is that big twisting. You can see the 3D model up front on the Darwin table if you want to look at that. So that double helix is, think of it like a spiral staircase. I think that's the easiest way to remember it. And these two guys, I actually think they stole someone's work, but this is Watson and Crick. They are credited with discovering the shape of the DNA molecule. We can discuss more about this conspiracy theory on Thursday. But they came up with supposedly the first image of what a DNA molecule looked like. Now, there are a couple different bases, those nitrogen bases. There are 4 of them: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. You don't necessarily need to know the whole word. You just need to know the short version, which is the A, T, G, and C. So what I need you to do right now is, this is a sequence of bases, and DNA tells us what it can do. I need you to stop right here, and you need to complete the sheet that looks like this. You can do this one on your own. It should not take, whoops, not that one. This one right here. You are going to interpret the information, you are going to graph it, and then you are going to answer the questions. So please do that at this point in time. So you've completed it, you've analyzed it. Hopefully you came up with these conclusions. The base pairing rulings. A bonds with T because they were in similar proportions. C bonds with G. So I want you to think about this. It's easy to remember. Once you remember one, you remember the other. C, the shape of C, there we go, looks like G. Now that's probably backwards to you because of the camera, but close enough. So C bonds with G, and they're always going to be paired, which means you're going to have equal amount of those in a DNA molecule. So DNA replication, question 5. Here's what we need to do. DNA replication means to replicate, means to make more of the same thing. So it's the process of copying DNA. 2 strands of DNA split. Each strand is used as a template to make 2 new strands. So 1 DNA strand becomes 2. Okay, so 1 DNA strand becomes 2. Simple. Every time, I'm back up just a second, every time that we are making new cells, we need to have new genetic information for those new cells. So when there's mitosis, we already talked about DNA replication, we need to double the genetic material so that new cell has that genetic material. So that's when DNA replication is taking place. So DNA has the information for building proteins. That's going to be our next step. So what's the importance of DNA? Here's the little secret. DNA gets all the cred, but really doesn't do any of the work. It's sort of like a boss, you know? If something goes well, they get all the credit. If something goes wrong, well, they also get the credit. But DNA is the blueprint for building our proteins. Proteins are really what make you who you are. So it's the sequence of this A, T, G, and C that codes for these proteins. So somehow we need to get from this, our DNA molecule, to the proteins. And those proteins build our cells, they run all the functions in our body, and all those kind of lovely things. And those cells make up the bodies and who we are. I just said that, and I'm working on myself. Again, DNA gets all the glory, but protein is doing all the work. So putting it all together, you can stop the video shortly. Don't do it yet. You're going to stop the video, and I want you to watch this last little clip. You only need to watch it to minute 2 minutes 35 seconds, maybe a little bit longer if you want to. But you do need to move on to the second video that I shared with you. So this was video 1 for DNA structure and function, and then you are going to be completing the next video, which is protein synthesis, which I said we need to somehow get from DNA to those proteins. We have to figure out how that works. So that is the end of this video. We'll see you in video 2.